The night sky over San Diego shimmered like liquid glass as Ethan drove through the quiet streets, his thoughts drowned in the noise of success and loneliness. The world knew him as the brilliant founder of a global tech empire, a man who could turn any dream into reality. But behind the tinted glass of his black car there was only silence, the kind that follows a man who once loved and lost everything. He had buried his past under layers of achievement, never allowing his heart to wander where it once bled. But tonight, fate decided to open the door he had locked years ago. At the corner of a small cafe, he noticed two children chasing bubbles under the yellow streetlights. Their laughter felt strangely familiar. The boy's smile was identical to his own childhood reflection. The girl's curious eyes mirrored someone he once knew, her eyes. Ethan's hands froze on the steering wheel as his pulse quickened. The air thickened, and then he saw her standing a few steps behind them, Amelia. The woman he once believed was his future. She looked up, her gaze meeting his, and time stopped. The city noise faded. In that single moment, Ethan knew his carefully built world was about to fall apart. Ethan could not shake the image of those children from his mind. That same night, as rain painted the windows of his penthouse, he stared at his reflection and saw the echo of their faces behind his own. He told himself it was a coincidence, a trick of tired eyes, but something deep inside whispered otherwise. The next morning he drove back to that street, telling himself it was only curiosity. But when he saw the little candy shop again, he froze. The twins were there, laughing, sharing a piece of chocolate, their energy lighting up the dull morning. And then, just a few steps behind them, came her. Lila. The woman he once planned a life with. The one who left without explanation, leaving a hole in his chest he learned to ignore. Time had changed her, more graceful, more grounded, but her eyes carried the same unspoken fire. Their gazes met and the world fell silent. Memories flooded in. Shared dreams, late-night promises, and the silence that ended everything. She looked away, her hands trembling slightly as she reached for her children. Ethan's breath caught. Children. His heart pounded as realization dawned, sharp and undeniable. The twins had his eyes, his expressions, his quiet way of observing the world. It was like looking at living pieces of a forgotten truth. For the first time in years, Ethan felt the ground shift under his feet, and he understood that the past had finally come for him. Lila's hands trembled as she led the twins toward the car, but her heart refused to stay calm. The moment her eyes met Ethan's, time broke apart like fragile glass. She had prepared herself for this day countless times, yet when it finally came, she felt defenseless. The air seemed too heavy, the silence too loud. Ethan stood motionless across the street, the rain tracing faint lines across his face as if even the sky wanted to remind them both of what was lost. She tried to look away, but his gaze pulled her back. Full of questions she had no strength to answer. Her son tugged her hand, asking who the man was, and her voice faltered before she whispered, "Just someone from long ago." But even the twins sensed her lie. As she drove off, Ethan followed behind in his car, not out of anger but an aching need for the truth. He parked near her building, watching the light flicker in the small apartment window above. That was when it truly hit him, not the betrayal but the years he had missed. The birthdays he never celebrated, the lullabies he never heard, the laughter that could have been his. He stepped out of the car and looked up, feeling the sting of regret in his chest. For the first time in years, the man who controlled everything realized how powerless he truly was against time, love, and the truth she had hidden. The following morning, Ethan stood outside the small school gate, unsure why he had come. He told himself it was coincidence, but his heart knew better. The bell rang and the twins came running out, their backpacks bouncing, their laughter brighter than sunlight. He watched them in silence, memorizing every movement. The boy's confident stride, the girl's curious glance. They were mirrors of everything he once dreamed of being, untouched by the weight of ambition. When Lila appeared, her expression froze for a second before she composed herself. "You shouldn't be here," she said softly, her voice steady but her eyes trembling. Ethan's response came from somewhere deep, a voice filled with pain he had buried long ago. "I just wanted to see them. You should have told me." Lila looked away, the wind catching her hair as memories clouded her face. "You were chasing success," she whispered. "You left before I could tell you. And when I realized, you were gone too far to turn back." Ethan felt the truth like a blade. She hadn't hidden them out of cruelty, but out of fear. Fear that he would choose his empire over his heart. For the first time, he saw her not as someone who betrayed him, but as someone who survived alone. Their silence said everything. The years between them vanished, leaving only what was lost and what could still be found. That night, Ethan sat alone in his office, the city glowing beneath him like a living dream he no longer recognized. He had everything: wealth, influence, admiration, but all of it felt empty now. The laughter of those twins echoed in his mind like music he could never replay. His fingers hovered over his phone, tempted to call her, but hesitation chained him. Pride had always been his shield, yet now it felt like a prison. He leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes, remembering the last night they had been together. How she had cried softly, whispering something he never stayed long enough to hear. He had chosen ambition over love then, believing success would fill the silence. But it never did. At dawn, unable to bear the weight anymore, Ethan drove back to her neighborhood. He parked near the same corner where he had first seen the twins, watching the sunrise paint the sky with soft gold. For the first time in years, he stepped out not as a businessman, but as a man who had lost more than time. He walked toward her door, heart pounding, unsure what to say or how to begin. But when Lila opened the door and saw him standing there, eyes tired, voice breaking, she understood without words. Some stories are not about blame or regret. They are about the courage to begin again, even when the heart still remembers the pain. Lila stood frozen at the doorway, her breath shallow as memories flooded back. The morning light slipped between them, soft yet heavy with all that remained unsaid. Ethan's eyes met hers, no longer cold or proud, but filled with something fragile. Hope. For a long moment neither spoke. Then with trembling honesty he whispered, "I do not want to take anything from you. I just want to know them, and maybe earn the right to know you again." His words struck something deep inside her, the wall she built over the years beginning to crack. The twins' voices echoed from the hallway, their innocent laughter breaking the tension. When they saw him, curiosity sparkled in their eyes. Ethan knelt, unsure if he had the right, but the boy stepped closer, studying him silently. "You look like me," the child said, and the simplicity of that truth nearly broke Ethan. Lila's eyes glistened as she watched the moment unfold, the father meeting his children for the first time. Time stood still. No grand speeches, no promises, just quiet recognition that love had found its way back through years of distance and pride. The pain did not vanish, but it softened, replaced by the warmth of possibility. For the first time, Ethan smiled. Not as the man he once was, but as someone ready to rebuild. And as Lila closed the door behind them, the past finally began to heal under the light of a new beginning.